Hey guys, Matt Science here, and today I'm back in Fallstreak because, well, I have a feeling that this game is literally going to take way longer than I thought. Because, well, I've done like 7 videos so far, and I feel like I've only scratched the surface of the darkness. I feel like this game is going to get even more dark, so let's continue on into Fallstreak. Our attention fully at her command, Miss Faye clears her throat before beginning. Today I'll be recounting to you a story that speaks of the origin of raid. Well, the origin of raid? That's quite coincidental with the weather being like, ooh, it's raining. There once was a village in a faraway land. Its people lived harmoniously off the land, leading happy and fulfilling lives. Life was vibrant and full of colour, and children played carefreely amongst chirping birds. It almost looks like there's a space in the word chirping. But one day, the clouds disappeared from the sky and rain stopped falling upon the land. The rivers running through the fields dwindled and dried up, leaving nothing for the people to drink. Soon even the crops began to wilt and shrivel away, causing the people to despair as food ran short. I'm gonna actually do this. Eking out everything they could to make it to the next day, the villagers managed to endure. But no matter how long they held on, the rain did not come. No matter how much they entreated the heavens, the sky did not hear their prayers. It was when all hope seemed to be lost that whispers of a heavenly saviour began to spread throughout the village. Somewhere in the nearby forest, where the foliage had remained green and healthy, there was rumored to be a goddess with miraculous powers. A goddess blessed with the ability to produce streams of pure, unadulterated water. Families with no options left clung to this mysterious rumour, searching the forest desperately for the fabled goddess. Then one fateful day, a mother whose son was on the verge of death finally encountered the goddess of legend. However, she was no divine goddess with a heavenly aura. She was but a little chipmunk of a girl whose head barely peeked above the shrubbery. "Please save my child," the mother begged to the girl with all her heart. "He won't respond to me. He hasn't had anything to drink for days." No matter how much she pleaded, the girl could not fathom the mother's words. Having lived in the forest for all her life, she did not know of the language. However, when the girl saw the boy's wasted body, she was overcome with great sorrow. He was suffering and in great pain. And so, wishing that the boy wouldn't die, the girl leaned over him and began to cry. Big, beautiful tears began to drip from the girl's eyes in unbelievable amounts, trickling through the boy's parched lips. Letting him drink tears as clear and pure as the rain that once fell upon the land, the girl pulled the boy back from the boundary of life and death. The smile of a young girl whose face was still wet with tears, that was the sight the boy opened his eyes to upon being saved from certain death. Meanwhile, having witnessed the miracle, the mother cried out in gratitude and implored the girl to come back to the village so that she might help others in need. Unable to comprehend anything though, the girl could only let herself be taken away from a tranquil garden. Her first exposure to the outside world deeply affected her. The village she was brought to beheld had become but a wasteland of death and decay. Immense sorrow lifted the girl's heart at the sight of so many people suffering. Spreading word of her miraculous, life-giving tears, the mother took the girl into her home as if she were one of her own. Countless came to her doorstep in search of salvation from their unending hell. The girl wept for every one of them, forsaking none in her boundless compassion. By drinking the pristine tears she shed, the people managed to recover from the brink of collapse. For several weeks, the villagers managed to stave off their deprivation. Yeah, that's it, right? That's the word, right? But though the tears she wept were enough to quench the thirst, their neglected hunger continued to grow by the hour. People whose lives she had poured her heart out to save began to perish from starvation before long. In their desperation to survive, the villagers were forced to break an unspeakable taboo. That taboo was cannibalism. Oh, no. We don't want to go there. No. We just had episode 6, which had breasts clawing at his arms. In episode 7, we found out the truth of why. And that they were experiments. And now we got cannibalism. Those that were unable to defend themselves were the first to go. The young, the elderly, the infirm. The girl watched on as a baby was ripped from its mother's arms and devoured by villagers that had lost their minds to hunger. Neighbours that had stuck with each other through thick and thin began to turn on one another, painting the landscape with sickening shades of scarlet. Those scarlet visions tormented the girl, bringing her such anguish that blood flowed from her eyes as she wept before the villagers' withered fields. It was then that, from the crimson tears that touched the cracked soil, flora began to spring up wondrously from the earth. Upon witnessing this miracle, the villagers tried to use the girl's power to nourish their fields. But though the girl wept torrents throughout the day and night at the villagers' plight, it was never the tears of blood that they needed. It was in that hopeless situation that the villagers came to a terrible conclusion. If the girl would not cry tears of blood, they would have to take it from her. The only way to garner the blood they needed was by cutting it into her body and draining it. A stone shrine on the top of a hill overlooking the village. The people locked the girl up there, driving her to a state of perpetual near death as they extracted her blood over and over again. It's the only way we can survive, was how they rationalized it. Whenever it seemed the girl was becoming numb and crying less as a result, the villagers had no choice but to devise crueler ways to hurt her. It was a wretched state of existence in which they could only subsist if the girl's blood and tears flowed freely. But even then, the girl never forsook the villagers. With a smile that grew weaker by the day, she continued to cry, thinking only of their sake. However, her smile did not ease the villagers' hearts. They feared it, were afraid of it. Afraid of what that smile meant, of what they had become. And so they began to chant it. A curse, or perhaps a prayer, to absolve them of their sins. A witch. She's a witch. She's the reason rain stopped falling upon the land. An incorruptible smile that not even layers of blood and tears could not blemish. it was the smile of a witch. And while there were none that could turn a deaf ear to the girl's sobs, which trickled without end from the top of the hill, no one spoke of it. Their throats quenched and their bellies full, the villagers chose not to see, not to hear. For the land had begun to flourish and regain its colour under the nourishment of the girl's blessed blood and tears. At long last, the people had regained a semblance of the peaceful days they once knew. But there were those who could not accept it. Back in the house the girl had called home since coming to the village, the boy whose life had been saved in the forest asked of his mother, "Mother, why won't you drink?" No matter how many times the boy brought a cup of water to her mouth, the mother would not part her lips. The family had been haunted by the girl's tormented cries for many sleepless nights now. "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." As she lay in bed, she would repeat those words to herself without end. "I should have never brought you to the village." The mother had come to view the girl as her own child during the time they lived together. Unable to bear the thought of drinking her daughter's tears as she was tormented day in, day out, the mother had gone without drinking for days. Now on the verge of dying from thirst, the mother spoke to her son for the final time. "Please grant your mother one last selfish wish." That girl. "Do you mean sis?" "Yes, your sweet beloved sister." The mother grasped her son's hand tightly as she spoke her final words. "Please be by her side." The boy waited until nightfall to carry out his mother's dying wish. Under a moonless, starless sky, he climbed the hill to where the girl was being held. Breaking into the temple from which countless streams cascaded and flowed, the boy was met with a heart-wrenching sight. The girl's small figure had once been filled with the vigor of youth, but now she was barely recognizable. From hollow eyes that had endured the darkest of human despair, fountains of water were streaming endlessly, serving as the origin of the rivers running outside. "Sis, sis." The boy struggled to release the girl from her restraints, but it was no use. The hands the boy had held steady as he taught her how to write, they were now twisted from ruthless disfigurement. Wrists the boy had made little brackets fall from the flora the girl called forth. They were now melded with the blood-stained iron shackling her. The girl stared vacantly at the boy as he continued his futile attempt to free her, unable to understand. She didn't want it to be sad, but he was not hurt or hungry in any way. He had even grown healthier since the last time they met. So why? Why was he making such a pained face? Knowing that the villagers would be back soon, the boy fell to his knees and began to cry. He didn't want her to be trapped here any longer. He didn't want her to be hurt anymore. But there wasn't anything he could do. That was when he felt a light touch on his chin, clanking her chains as she reached out with what remains of her hands. The girl lifted the boy's head and began to weakly wipe away his tears. When his vision cleared, the boy saw that the girl had a beautiful smile on her face. A smile just like the time she first saved him. Even when the chains had stolen away her freedom, deprivation had wasted her vigor, and abuse had dulled the light in her eyes. Her smile had not been lost. More than anything, the boy wanted to protect that smile. And so, with trembling movements, the boy reached out and slowly wrapped his fingers around the girl's neck. Unable to stop himself from crying at the thought of what he was doing, the boy tightened his grip. But the girl's smile never left her. Even as the strength slowly left her body, she did not stop. Wiping away his tears, her hand continued to move. It was only when that hand fell back limply to her side that the boy knew it was over. Water was no longer flowing from the girl's eyes, which were loosely shut in a state of peace. Even now, it looked like she was smiling serenely as she slept. Easing her to the ground, the boy watched on as the artificial rivers lost their origin and began to run dry. Though he knew the villagers would return any moment, the boy couldn't bring himself to leave the girl's side. Before long, countless people swarmed to the temple, enraged that their life-giving water had stopped flowing. They could not forgive the culprit that had destroyed the village's foundation and condemned them all to certain death. You killed the witch! You killed the witch! She's not a witch! To the villagers' outrage, the boy roared back with anger of his own. The girl had wiped away everyone's tears, stopping at nothing to help others in need. But who had been there to wipe away her tears? The villagers seized and beat the boy, dragging him outside and tying him to a stake. Lighting a fire beneath his feet, they threw rocks and cursed the boy as he burned. You killed the witch! You've killed us all! Even as his flesh blistered and blackened under the flames, the boy continued to cry out, "She's not a witch! She's not a witch!" In a broken voice, the boy repeated it over and over again. She's not a witch! But his cries fell upon unhearing ears, until at long last he stopped moving. It was then that something impossible began to happen. Something began to fall from the sky, wet and clear, like the sky itself was crying. It was rain. A certain soul had been bearing witness to the tragic scene. It was the girl who had ascended into the sky upon being released from a cage of flesh. She had watched on as the boy screamed in tear-choked agony. Cursed by everyone, forsaken by the world, he died in great pain, his voice having reached no one. She had watched, powerless to stop it, no matter how much she wished to. And so, with eyes overflowing with more tears than ever before, from heaven she cried. Clouds came and covered the sky, washing torrential swaths of water that swept away all in its wake. The girl wept madly, unable to stop even as her tears swallowed and extinguished all life. She grieved alone in the sky for many years before her tears ran dry, flooding the land several times over. Many millennia passed before the waters finally receded. It was only after eons of solitude that the girl spotted life beginning to take root again. Overwhelmed by the moving sight, she began to sob once more, only to drown the fragile seeds of life. In a heartbreaking turn of events, the land became flooded again as she lamented her clumsiness. It was not until many more eons passed that the waters receded and life struggled once more to take root. Placing all her hope in that fragile, blooming life, the girl vowed deep in her heart to nurture it with prudence. Resolving to cry just enough that it wouldn't wither, but not so much that it drowned. The girl directed the tears to fall from the sky in delicate equilibrium. Occasionally, she would commit an error, disrupting the frail balance and causing a drought or flood to devastate the blooming flora. In panic and heartbreak, she would weep remorsefully, flooding the land once more. But every time the water cleared away, life always sprang back tenaciously, keeping her belief alive. Repeating that cycle over and over again, without losing faith, the girl finally saw the day that people roam the earth once more. For those people, she continues to weep to this very day, suffering without ends so they can live on. To this moment, the girl lives on, eternally bound to the sky. When clouds come and cover the skies, some people feel immense sadness at her tears. Others feel soothed, relieved that they had not been forgotten, and holding her timeless sacrifice dear to their hearts. Some innocent children pout, complain they cannot play. With the characteristic shift of her posture that indicated she was getting close to wrapping up, Miss Faye flips to the final page. Even after being wronged so harshly by them, she continues to watch over and love people. In times of scarcity, when people suffer from absence of her blessing, she witnesses their pain and cries so they might eat and drink. In times of war, when people raze the land and commit atrocities, she beholds their sins and sobs so that the spilt blood might be washed away. And in times of prosperity, when people smile and laugh amidst flourishing fields, she admires their happiness and weeps in mirth so they might continue to thrive. With a deep breath, Miss Faye concludes the somber story. Slowly shutting the book, she leans back into a chair to let the ending ferment in our minds. That's a happy end. That is a rather happy ending. Stupid microphone. So what do you think? Certainly not the tamest of stories, huh? Miss Faye smiles wickedly as she surveys our speechless faces. It's so sad. It's funny, but because I know what she's saying, but it's just like, yeah. It's so sad. Shedding tears that would give the Rangos a run for her money. Lorena latches onto the closest person to her. Oh, there's no way I'm ever gonna make that sound effect. With a hapless expression, Trish rubs her back as she balls and blows snot all over. Ew, you don't blow snot on someone. Throwing a little asphyxiation, and you two can reenact the temple scene for us. You don't joke about that. It's not a bad joke, but still, you don't joke about choking someone to death. Ay, ay, ay. Knowing these two, though, their tragic narrative would be straight to slapstick territory. Get out, knee slapper, huh? After all she did for them, I can't believe what the villagers did to the girl. It was inhuman. It was perfectly human. Most people would do the same if placed in that situation. Oh wow. Yeah, but that's not wrong. Even if I were to die from hunger, I can't imagine doing what they did. Whew. Yeah. We can only say that because we don't know what it's like to be on the verge of starvation. Yeah, hey, dropping all the knowledge. It's not only about yourself as well. Each of those villagers had people they held dear, friends and family that were slowly dying alongside them. Oh, looking at Kayla's face. Oh my god. If the only way to save your kin is through forsaking an outsider, there's no question what you'll choose. People would do anything to keep their family alive. Unless you have those people that want to kill their family, aka psychopaths. Well, no, not psychopaths. That is wrong to assume. Just you know what I mean by that. The scale will only ever tip one way if you weigh the life of a loved one against the life of a stranger. But the girl wasn't a stranger to the villagers. She saved each and every one of their lives and suffered beside them. I just can't accept it, how they turned on the very one who reached out to them when they needed someone the most. She must have felt so betrayed, so alone. What I can't understand is, why did they start calling her a witch? What reason did they have to be afraid of her? When people brand someone a witch, it isn't really because they're afraid of the person in question. What they fear is something else. In the end, it's an instrument of dehumanization to protect and preserve their own humanity. It lets them do anything to their victim, free of blame. Because you're not a monster if you're the one torturing. If the one you're torturing is a witch. That's the part I hate the most. To brand her as a witch even though she devoted everything to them. It seriously pisses me off. That must have been how the boy felt when the villagers kept calling her that. He kept rejecting it until the very end. A solemn silence descended upon us as we recalled the scene in question. It's true, the term witch is more often than not a sin of the sayer. Regardless of how the villagers dressed it though, what lays at the crux of the story is the concept of forsaking one to ensure the survival of many. It's classic utilitarianism. That's a confusing word. I hate that kind of thinking. The idea that humanity needs to sacrifice people for the greater good. I get how you feel, Kalia. But it can't be denied that much of the life we know has been built on the sacrifices of others. Even so, people's lives aren't numbers to be plugged into some formula. Yes, utilitarianism is a philosophy for cogs, not human beings. It's not always the case that humanity takes lives for the greater good. There are times when people willingly offer it up. I don't think we have any right to deny them from doing so. It was a shaky belief. No, something more uncertain, like a hope. Mother's death on the day I was born. Papa's confession to killing her. The fact that I was here now, at this time, at this place. The fact that she was not. Was Mother's death a sacrifice? A sacrifice to bring me into the world? Oh wow, we are getting into some serious stuff. Yeah. If so, I wanted to believe, I needed to believe, that she had chosen this path of her own will. That she had wished for it. Humanity will always need a sacrifice, even when it doesn't wish for one. Recall how there used to be rain at the very beginning of the story? If I was to imagine there was previously another sacrifice that made rain fall from the sky. A role that is replaced over time, like a cycle that nobody wishes for, but everyone still needs. Miss Faye adjusts her glasses and gives a small sigh. Listen well, children. All human beings hurt something simply by being alive, just by continuing to exist. The choice to forsake something to gain something has been made. There is nothing wrong with that. It is no sin to be alive. There was no mistake. She was looking straight at me. Miss Faye, to tell the truth, it didn't matter what the villagers did. Even if the boy never killed the girl and the villagers continued extracting her blood, the village's fate doesn't change. No one can survive having their blood drained like that for long. Eventually the girl would have perished, with the village expiring alongside her. No matter what anybody does, it will end in the same way. Something like that is just too hopeless. No matter how much they struggled, no happy ending awaited the characters in this story. Such was the script they were bound by. Rain is saddening yet soothing. Life is a child that cannot survive without drinking up the tears of the mother that gave birth to it. And yet, in the end, the people were drowned by the very life-giving water that nourished them. How poetic. Unfolding her legs, Miss Faye rises from her seat. Anyways, that's about all the time I have for you children. Turning to me, Miss Faye pulls a sealed letter out of her pocket. This is for your father, Aid. Be sure he gets it. And make sure you don't peek. I'll tell him he has a new stack of paperwork to finish by tonight. Let's just say the two of us have a long discussion to be had. Though I was curious about the letter's contents, I have no intention of betraying Miss Faye's trust. Thanks for telling such a unique story today, Miss Faye. It definitely made me you think. I think there was an extra word put in there accidentally. It was pretty messed up, but today's story was one of my favorites. I'm glad we ended up reading it. You better not pull any punches when it comes to intense stuff like this, Miss Faye. The girl's devotion to people was so admirable, even though it was so sad. I really liked it. Even though it was so sad. Yeah. But maybe it wouldn't hurt to have a cheerier story next week. People fall in love with sad stories as well as happy stories. Compassionate yet cruel, we wish for happiness while seeking sadness. Human beings are such a messy bundle of contradictions. But in the end, isn't that the way it should be? Oh, Miss Faye, Triss is curious what the title of the story is and who wrote it. I know. Though I can't conceive why, everything but the text itself has been omitted. A book without a title, where even the author remains unnamed. I have a sense we're gonna find out who wrote this book, and it's gonna turn out to be the mother that wrote this particular story. Don't tell me this is some cliche development where you reveal yourself to be the author, Miss Faye. Breaking the fourth wall. Always seem to come around to that, don't we? Oh boy. I can see it. Miss Faye is definitely the kind of person that would write a peerless story like this. Such aspirations against my character. How rude. Miss Faye's Miss Faye's sulky face is the best. Don't you think you should dial back on how much you tease people, Aid? As a wise old woman once said, there's more than one way for someone to express their love, you know. Ooh. Uh-oh. Looks like she's seriously about to pop of Aid. Woo, boy. Might want to go. Time for a tactical retreat. Dear heavens, look at the time. We better be off now. Bye. Good day, Miss Faye. Take care, you little rascals. Whoa. Oh. As I don my rain gear and make to leave with the others though, a sudden pain spikes through my your right eye. What? Oh. Hold up, I need to see that moment again. Like, what happened? Flashes yellow, then black. Huh. Overcome with vertigo, I lose my balance and bump into someone. Oh, Alouette. You've been so quiet, I forgot you were there. You were here. Alouette just woke up. Huh. So you were sleeping. For some reason, her complexion seemed much paler than usual. Alouette, is something wrong? What's the matter? If you don't tell me with your words, I won't understand. Alouette had a bad dream. Oh. Tell me, Alouette. Drawing close, Miss Faye places her hands on Alouette's shoulders. What happened in your dream? What was it about? No. Alouette doesn't know. Alouette doesn't remember. I see. Go ahead and see the children off. Oh. If the raid doesn't get better, you're welcome to stay tonight. Sleepover with Belly. Sounds fun. But everyone is waiting for me back home. Oh, pardon me. Without responding, Miss Faye disappears deeper into the building. What are you two dilly-dallying around here for? We're all ready to go. The pain in my eye was still throbbing, making it difficult to gather my thoughts as I followed behind the others. Whew! That's loud. The rain had greatly intensified during the stay. His pervasive roaring is as if the earth itself were rebelling against the sky. Wow, it's going pretty bad. As much as I hate to, should we call it a day and go home? You free, go ahead. I need to talk with Miss Faye about something, so I'll be staying behind. Alright, guess we'll see you tomorrow then. Make sure you rest up, okay, Abe? Yeah. Upon separating with them, I gaze up at the dreary overcast sky. Ooh, some nice fancy colours. Oh. It was there. Rolling up from deep inside me. A vision of a burning sky? Okay. What's this feeling? This feeling that everything is coming apart at the seams. Everything's falling apart. Pick up the pace, Tris. We're going to look like brown cats by the time we get home. The onslaught of raindrops pounding down on us like tiny hammers, rendering Callier's shouts barely audible. We're running home after separating with everyone else. Something causes me to stop in my tracks though. Tris, we're not getting drier by the moment here. Callier complains to me as she skids to a halt. But she falls silent when I raise my hand and points to my ear. Though faint, something that clashed disharmoniously against the roaring rain can be heard. Concentrating on my hearing, I wander off the path into a nearby brush. There, bird. Something sounds wrong with it. Something about the price tone was hurting my heart. Over there, Chris. It laid in a hole lined with frayed netting. A bird with blazing orange feathers. A phoenix oriole? Oh no. A species that was supposed to have gone extinct since the fire collapsed. Before us, what was surely among the last of its kind, was struggling with all it had to stay alive. The bird cried out pitifully, flapping its wings in a desperate attempt to stay afloat amidst the rising water. We need to save it. I spring into action, dipping my hands into the water to try and pull the bird free. But my blind fumbling is no avail. The bird's panicking flying and the incessant downpour is making it impossible to see. It's drowning. We look on in frozen horror as the bird's head disappears under the surface. Scoop out the water, Chris. Cover my hands, I shovel the water out in a frenzied attempt to drain the hole. But while I'm unable to displace enough water for the bird to pop up and breathe, the pouring rain makes it that I can't relent to the things. If I stop, the rising water will drain the bird in no time. But there's no way for me to free the bird in this state. I can't keep this up forever. Damn it. Unable to stand by any longer, Callie throws herself to her knees and plunges her head into the cold water. She must have come to some conclusions. I can't see what's trapping the bird from above. Our only option is to try looking from below the water surface. Pulling her head above the surface, Callius views out water from her mouth as she throws to catch her breath in the thick rain. Someone's tangled up in the netting. But though we now knew what the problem was, we were no closer to a solution. We simply didn't have enough to work with. My hands were full of scooping out the water, while Callia had nothing to reach out. The only thing she could do was look on powerlessly on the side. Her face twists into an expression I haven't seen in a long time. Bitterness. frustration. It's always been like this. Even when it's right before me, I've never been able to. I could almost hear it, the thoughts running through her head. No! Unable to accept it, Kalia punches her head below the surface and glides into the net, ensnaring the bird. Wildly, badly, gnashes her teeth in a desperate attempt to cut through. But though she sticks at it stubbornly for as long as she can, before long she runs out of breath. Coughing up the water that floods into her lungs, Kalia takes a deep breath and dives back under. But no matter how many times she tries to shoot for the netting, it doesn't give. The only thing she was accomplishing was tiring herself out. No. As we repeated our futile cycle, the bird only continued to weaken. Smooth or slowly. Faint, its cries going faint. A realization dawns upon me. My fingers begin to grow numb from the bite and chill. At this rate, it's going to die. No, no, no. Kalia croaks weakly as she dips her back under after another unsuccessful attempt. But she's only able to hold her breath for a few seconds before having to rise again. My own exhausting act was taking its toll on me as well. Why don't you try making the hole bigger? I couldn't feel my arms anymore. But even then, we don't stop. We can't stop. The sound of falling rain was the only thing that could be heard. The birds' cries were no more. Slumping to the ground, Kalia stares on vacantly as water overflows the hole. But even though the bird has ceased moving long ago, I don't stop. Hands that had long lost all feeling, I continue to pull weakly at the water. It's the same. It's the same as that time. In my mind's eye, I can't help but see it. The so-called light above us, so far out of reach. The slippery stone around us, so dark, so cold. The warm blood flowing through my fingers, so red. So red. Stop. Let go of her. Stop it, Triss. Let go of her, Triss. It's dead. She's dead. Ah! I grab at my temples as a nauseating pressure begins to build up in my skull. Deep within me, something begins to smolder. A fire was trying to catch. But deprived of air, it forms nothing more than smoking embers. Why? The well's chilly water, slowly running red as the life bleeds out of her body. Something hot begins to leak from the corners of my eyes as images from that time consume my vision. Why? My bloody hands, slowly becoming numb with pain as I slam them against the stone walls. The sensations of that day begin to meld and overlap with the present, sending tremors rippling through my body. I'm sorry. Her chapped lips, repeating one thing. I'm sorry. Repeating one thing. The ashes of a failed fire swirl up inside me as the first presses down on my heart like a suffocating vice. I open my mouth in a frail attempt to release the rage and grief searing, but unable to produce the words that could carry it all away. I choke and gag pathetically. It was like there was a cork in my throat. With no way to escape, the cloud of swirling cinder pulls madly at my insides. I'm going to burn away from the inside out. Words that wouldn't come. a flame that could not be extinguished or quelled. No matter how much I wanted to howl and roar with all my heart, I couldn't utter a single thing. So I start to run. Taking off with all my might into the curtain of falling rain. Triss! Callia screams out from somewhere behind me, but her cries don't reach me. With no regard to where I'm heading, I dash forward madly. I just don't understand. Why? Why can't I do anything? Yet again, I was powerless. Unable to even cry out in protest as it all slipped through my fingers. Triss! I'm chasing after something, but I can't see what. For some reason I could barely make out what was ahead of me. Something was clouding my vision so much that I could only vaguely discern its receding outline. Triss! Ah, it's getting away. It's getting away. It's getting away. Triss! Even though it had long disappeared from view, I don't relent in my pursuit. I didn't know any other way to deal with all the things smoldering inside me. So even though I could barely see in front of me, I continued to run. Forward, endlessly, eternally. Triss! My lungs are tearing to pieces. My heart is pounding into paste. My legs are crumbling beneath me. With no outlet, the hot pressure continues to build up inside me. Like a bowl of scalding liquid that had been violently shaken up. Triss! I'm sorry, Triss. I'm sorry you had such a monster for a mother. I stumbled, trip and collapsed to the ground. But it still wasn't enough. The things inside me were still burning. Whew. This feeling of being stifled and smothered, I couldn't stand it. Unable to find any release, I curl my hands into claws and begin gouging out the chunks of the muddy earth below. But unsated by its lack of resistance, I began to rip out my skin and hair feverishly. I wanted to scream out with all my soul, cursing this world for tearing away what I held dear. But I had no voice to protest the world's cruelty. My mouth merely flapped open and shut, pathetically like a dying fish. Thump. Someone wrapped their body around me, enveloping me in a maddeningly warm. Triss, please. Callia pleads to me as she hugs me ineffectually with her stunted arms. I thrash wildly, violently knocking her into the mud. But undeterred, she gets back up and throws herself on me again. Triss, stop. You're hurting yourself. Unable to stand the sense of restraint, I shake her off once more. But even though she can't hold on to me very well, she doesn't stop trying. No matter how many times I send her tumbling into the mud, she stubbornly flings herself back onto me. After a final attempt to subdue me, I collapse face first into the mud, panting heavily as Callia embraced me, brokenly from behind. Whew! A heavy breathing and the rain's apathetic pattering were the only sounds that registered in my dim consciousness. I wanted to close my eyes to the world, to deny everything that made it up. I wanted to disappear, to wake up to a place where everyone welcomed me with warm smiles. I decided nothing more than to hear a gentle voice telling me it was all but a horrible night. For a moment I felt like I wished for what I wished for would actually come true. But then Kalia spoke, tearing me away from that hopeless dream. You remembered, didn't you? How Mummy died. Woo! Her words came to me like a sharp blade, forcing me to stay rooted in reality's cold domain with her. You still carry it with you, even now. It lay on the ground before us. Grabber failed. A piece of fabric stained with blood. The blood was an illusion, one I've never been able to escape. Mother's handkerchief. After all these years, it had lost its vivid blue tint, leaving nothing but shades of phantom red. It was a reminder of that day. The day Mother and I fell into a well. The day Mother tried to... Oh, what the... Okay. And the day she died. Wow. What the... I shut my eyes tightly, but the tears continued to squeeze out from beneath my eyelids. Overhead, the rain had begun to intensify. Crying under the rain was meaningless for one without a voice. Because even if they were to start to cry for eternity, under the rain, no one ever knows. Oh, what? 15 years before the fire collapse? What? Okay. Well, I'm gonna leave the episode here because we're starting a new section, apparently. So, links to my YouTube page and my Twitter page will be down below, along with a link to Amino. And don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. And leave a like if you're enjoying this crazy story. Like, seriously. Oh. That episode was literally try not to cry challenge pretty much the whole way through. It wasn't horrifying. Like, it was horrifying. But it's like, it just, oh, wow. Anyway, I'm the Mad Scientist. Mad Scientist out.